Welcome back to the Jon Krawczynski Show. He is Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Suhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
It's Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Yep, Jack Frost is back, and he's not just nipping at your nose. He's eyeing your furnace and those leaky faucets, too. Don't let him crash your holidays. Call Aquarius and get $98 off any plumbing or furnace repair. Enjoy your holidays and let Aquarius take care of your home service needs. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
We'll tell you about all of our sponsors later. We appreciate everybody who supports the show, whether by watching or advertising with us. This weekend, we're recording this on Wednesday morning. This weekend, Jon is going to be headlining a show at Headflyer Brewing, one of our longtime partners. Jon, tell us about the show.
Yeah, Jim, we've been doing these shows at Headflyer for a long time now, and they're always a great time. And I'm really excited about this show on Saturday at Headflyer for a couple of reasons. First of all, we have two great guests. We have Chris Finch will be there starting at 4:00. And he's going to, kind of do a Q&A talk for about 30 minutes. And then after Chris Finch comes and goes, Bones Hyland is slated to join us as well and talk about his path to the Timberwolves, about his rising role with the team, and just like so much of his very, very interesting story. So a really cool opportunity for Timberwolves fans to be up close and personal with the head coach of the team in the middle of the season, with a very important player in the middle of the season. And as everyone knows, if you go to Headflyer Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis, the tap room is wide open. We have a stage set up right at one end. And I mean, you're literally feet away from Chris Finch and Bones Hyland. We're going to have great conversations about the season, about all sorts of other things. The other part that is going to be really cool about this show is that, right around the holidays, we are going to be kind of using it as a food drive as well. We are the Headflyer and Talk North and the Jon Krawczynski Show has partnered with Second Harvest Heartland all season long. During sales of Crunch Time beer, a portion of the proceeds go to benefit Second Harvest Heartland. But then also, if you show up on Saturday with food to donate, then you will get a buy one, get one beer at Headflyer. So not only are you going to be able to show up and have some great Wolves conversation with two amazing guests, but you'll also be able to do some good deeds and kind of help out with food security issues right around the holidays, which is always just an acute need in this community and elsewhere. So come on out to Headflyer Brewing on Saturday, December 20th, 4 p.m. Show start. Probably get there early to get yourself a good seat. Chris Finch, Bones Hyland, and all benefiting Second Harvest Heartland and food insecurity here in the Twin Cities.
That's fantastic. I always say this, Chris Finch doesn't have to do this.
No.
Greg Popovich was not going to local podcasts and breweries and hanging out. This is just another sign of the kind of person Chris Finch is. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. And for Bones Hyland to make time. Also, NBA players it's not easy to get them to do stuff like this. This is tremendous. So thank you to the Timberwolves organization. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to Bones. Usually I MC these shows. My wife and I have a weekend getaway planned. I'm canceling. We're just going to go to Headflyer. She'll be fine with it. It's not a big deal.
No problem.
Just put a beach, inside Headflyer Brewing. We'll put a sun lamp up. We'll pretend we're where we're going to go. No, it's great stuff. Great work for Jon. That's what we call in the business good gets. That's really impressive. So thanks to Headflyer. Thanks to Second Harvest Heartland. They've been doing great work for many decades. And please go and have a great time. You will. If you go, you will have a great time. All right, let's get to some basketball issues here. Bones Hyland, star of Talk North, live podcast, is now playing point guard and doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's been a fun story to see over the last several games here now. Basically, what we saw last week was Chris Finch made the determination that Rob Dillingham was, kind of not ready yet for the role that they were trying to give him. And so they moved him out of the rotation and inserted Bones into Rob Dillingham's spot. But then Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley both had minor injuries that they've dealt with and have missed some games. And so that has only elevated Bones's kind of standing and minutes within this rotation. He's been starting games at point guard and playing really well, Jim. He gives this team, I think, what they were hoping to see from Rob Dillingham right away. But Bones is 25. He's just been around longer. He's got more experience and more feel. And so he is playing very confidently. He's making shots. He is finding teammates. He's working hard defensively, working with, trying to limit the turnovers a little bit. But his overall, I think, feel for the game is something that Chris Finch has been really impressed with and is only earning him more faith. And, this is kind of a signing last year when he was signed to a two-way contract. It was everyone kind of like chuckled a little bit. Oh, this is Tim Connolly's, guy. He drafted him in Denver, just kind of throwing a favor to him. But now he's in a position of need and he's playing well. And so he's kind of earning more opportunities here to make an impact and trying to take advantage of them the best that he can.
Fascinating stuff. And is this creating more opportunities for Dillingham as well in that backup point guard role?
Well, it is right now because Mike Conley is hurt. And so, they're calling it right Achilles tendinopathy. And so my understanding of it is it's not like a major injury, but it is something that is just requiring some maintenance. And at, his age, to have 3, 4, 5 games off in the middle of the season is probably a good thing. And so, taking him out of the rotation and removing those 20 minutes or so that he was getting does open things up for Dillingham to remain in the rotation. And, we're still seeing Rob Dillingham sort of ride the roller coaster. I mean, kind of against the Kings on Sunday, he played really poorly the first 3 quarters, but then in the fourth quarter made a few plays. Same with Golden State. He made a couple of really nice plays, a couple of buckets in the fourth quarter to help that come back and get rolling. And so I think there's hope that giving him kind of consistent minutes and letting him get out there and play through things will help him get a little bit of a feel. He's got a long way to go. There's a lot of things that he needs to improve on. But I do think, Jim, that sort of him watching Bones play is an advantage here because they two of them have very similar styles. They're both kind of freewheeling offensive players. They both are kind of flashy styles and the way that they try to attack. And so Bones is just, I think, a little more comfortable in his skin and knows what he can get away with and what he can't. Rob Dillingham is still learning those things, but for Rob to be able to watch that in real time, he can, I think, take some of what Bones is doing and try to incorporate it into his game because there are similarities there. And then also his teammates, I think, are a little bit more comfortable playing with Rob Dillingham right now because they play with a similar style player in Bones at the start of the game. This is not, the difference between Rob Dillingham and Mike Conley in terms of style of play is just significant. It's a real adjustment. But when Bones is in there versus when Rob is in there, it's kind of like Batman and Robin, or it's just it's a 1A and 1B type of in that style, in that similar style. And so I do think that can also help teammates understand and be a little bit more prepared when Rob comes into the game because they're used to playing with a similar style player in Bones Highland at the start of it.
Interesting stuff. They can have this season play out the way they want in their wildest dreams. How do you think Chris Finch and Tim Connolly would want the point guard position to look late in the season heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I do think, Jim, like, presuming there's no trade, and we can talk about trades later in this show, but like, presuming there is no point guard trade, and I'll even say this. I think that in a perfect world, in Tim Connolly's perfect world, Rob Dillingham and Bones, to a degree, assert themselves enough and play well enough that they don't feel compelled to go out and get a point guard. Is that realistic? I don't know. It may not be realistic, but I think that they were hoping at the start of the season, both Tim Connolly and Chris Finch, that they would see a real leap forward from Rob Dillingham in year 2, that he would be your backup point guard, and you can mix and match Mike Conley in there plenty of times as well when you need him. But but Conley would be more of the crutch, and Dillingham would be a real dynamic element of the second unit with this team. And that hasn't materialized to this point. I think he's done well defensively, actually, and it's just been offensively. The turnovers, the missed shots, like all of those things have just been really hard for Rob Dillingham to overcome. And so if by some way, shape, or form, over the course of the next 4 months, that Rob Dillingham just really grows into that role and becomes a spark plug off of the bench that can come in and give you, 10 points and 4 assists in 20 minutes, like that would be outstanding. Or, if Bones can be a consistent player, because that's the one thing you wonder about with Bones Hyland is like, yeah, he's playing really well right now. How long will that last? And so if they could get consistent dynamic play from those two in some way, shape, or form, that would be great. That would be a way for them to really juice the offense in the second unit, because right now, the way it's been, unless Naz Reid is having a big scoring night, with that, the bench unit is really struggling. Terrence Shannon is starting to show some signs of coming around, but hasn't quite been there yet. And so they need a Rob Bones kind of combination to get out there, get the pace moving, and get up and down the floor and score some buckets. And so that would be ideal. If it does not happen over the next, maybe 3-4 weeks, I would say, you're going to see them really start to dive into the point guard market and see if there is someone out there that can come in and just solidify that position a little bit more. So this is a big few weeks for both Rob Dillingham and Bones Hyland to try and kind of show the Timberwolves that, no, we can handle this. Just let us cook this way.
Let's talk about Julius and maybe Rudy here in a second. First, we want to take care of the people who take care of us, starting with Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood.
If you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than our good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they've got you covered with 2 great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to lexusofwayzata.com or lexusofmaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
Also want to thank our friends at TSR Injury Law, 612-TSR Time, 612-TSR Time. If you're a Timberwolves fan, you already know all about the company. You already know that they're big Timberwolves backers and Timberwolves partners. They hang out with Naz Reid. They hang out with Micah Nori. And that's wonderful stuff. I love to see their business thriving because they help a lot of people. What you need to know is if you're ever injured, just remember that number, 612-TSR Time, 612-TSR Time. If you call them, you'll deal with a lawyer. They will send you in the right direction if you need advice. And if they take your case, they won't charge you unless they win your case. It's a no-risk, no-brainer. Just give them a call, 612-TSR Time, for a higher level of representation. Also want to thank Princeton's Liquors.
Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove. We've been telling you about Princeton's for years now, and they've been just a unbelievable presence, both with Talk North, but more so just in the Maple Grove community for decades and decades. You go into Princeton's Liquors, it's the holiday season. You're getting together for gatherings with family and friends, coworkers and things. Pick up something special from Princeton's Liquors. They are specializing in bourbon and craft beer, all sorts of unique offerings that you can get that will turn a lot of heads at your holiday gatherings. And know that when you go into Princeton's Liquors, you are supporting a community-based company that has been here forever and ever, has employed people here forever and ever. Just a big part of things. So go to Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove. Great bourbon, great craft beer, but great anything you need in the beer, wine, spirits, THC, seltzer department going into the holiday gatherings. Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove.
Do you think Julius Randle has a chance to be an all-star?
I do, Jim. The all-star voting, we're recording this on Wednesday. All-star voting is starting to pick up just today. And, there's plenty of time going into the game in February, but he has been so consistently good for this team that I don't know where they'd be without him right now. And I do think that if this team can kind of pick up a little bit of steam, get right into the top 4 going, into January, now you are talking about getting 2 guys to that event, and Anthony Edwards obviously will be one of them. But Julius Randle, the way that he's playing, the way that he's been so consistent, the way that he's scoring and passing and facilitating, the way that he has started to pick up his defense with Naz Reid in the second unit, he's just been really invaluable for the Timberwolves so far. And the kind of one of the coolest things about this whole thing is, is how happy he seems to be here. And he was at the Wild game the other night with his sons. He really seems to be embracing being in Minnesota, being a part of this community. He and I had a big sit down before the season about how happy he was here and how, kind of miserable he was at the end and in New York. And so just seeing him really settle in and seeing that family settle in, and then him playing at a really, really high level, I certainly think he deserves to be in that all-star conversation. And I think some of it will probably depend on just how much success the Wolves have wins and loss wise, over the next 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks, when the real voting is getting going here.
Remind me why he was miserable at the end of New York.
So basically he got injured, a shoulder injury in his final season in New York, and really kind of started to feel isolated from the team. When he went out, the just started playing really, really well. And they got to the conference finals, conference semifinals. Dante DiVincenzo was a big part of that group, and they played really well and really kind of energized the city and had a lot of success. But Randle was out with a shoulder injury and kind of watching from afar. And I think that he felt like some of the discourse around that was that, well, Julius was a problem here, and it didn't, and he was holding them back. And that obviously was not the case, but in that kind of the way that those narratives can kind of spin, I think he felt a little stung by that. I don't think that the Knicks were incredibly inclusive in keeping him involved in things as he was kind of on the outside looking in. And so I just feel like he felt like he was being left behind, and he had given a lot to that organization, especially in the early years, really kind of building it up from a really struggling franchise into a playoff team. And I think it stung him a little bit that, kind of that was the narrative as they went into those playoffs. And so he gets here and he's a Dallas guy, and so he said he likes the pace of life here a lot more. He likes the open spaces. He likes the lack of traffic and all those things. And then he just loves playing for Chris Finch and playing with Ant and this team. And so it's been a really good fit for him. He's in a really good headspace, and he's being, I think you're seeing that reflected in just how consistent he is on a night in and night out basis.
Rudy's been interesting lately. He's had some really big offensive games. Mm-hmm. He's had some really efficient offensive games, and he's not doing it because he's getting, Mike Conley running the pick and roll and lobbing it to him 8 times a game. He's kind of found other ways. Take us through how all that has evolved.
Yeah, I think that it has been noticeably different, the force that he is playing with around the rim. And I think one of the big frustrations with Rudy Gobert's game over the years, certainly in Minnesota, has been kind of softness that he plays with on occasion at the rim in terms of like when he's trying to grab offensive rebounds, he's just like tapping it with one hand and trying to control it that way and not getting it. He'll often be right at the rim and just lay it up softly on the glass and it'll miss. And you're like, dude, you're 7'1", like play with some muscle and put these guys under the basket. And what we are seeing on a more nightly basis now with Rudy is he is grabbing the ball with two hands and he is dunking the ball with authority. And I have not seen him play with this level of force at the rim offensively since he's been here, certainly. And I asked Chris Finch about this maybe 10 days ago or so. And one thing he said was that he just feels like his balance and his base underneath him are as good as it's ever been. And so he is being able to play through contact and kind of just use his strength in a way that he was not able to do earlier. And so it's given the team a big lift to get, I was in Golden State for that game on last Friday, and he had 24 points and 14 rebounds. And I mean, he was just annihilating a team that had no center. So if you don't have a center against Rudy Gobert right now, I mean, it's going to be a long night. And so you can also see, Jim, with the way that he is playing at the rim that way and the way that he is kind of racking up these dunks, his teammates are now starting to trust him more, and they're now passing the ball to him more and trying to get him involved in the offense differently than just him getting the table scraps of an offensive rebound and score. And so that's been a big development for them. And when Rudy is involved offensively, then he's usually better defensively as well. He was great earlier this week against Sacramento. He was great against Golden State. His presence has been on both ends really, really good. And we have to give congratulations to him. He just had his second baby, a little girl. And so I think he's probably in a good mind state that way. And going into, they play Oklahoma City on Friday night. That's going to be really interesting because so far when he's struggled, it's been against really good teams with really strong, big centers. And Oklahoma City has that. And so we'll see if he can take now the domination that he's had against lesser teams into a game against a heavyweight opponent, literally on Friday night.
Let's talk about how the Wolves are doing overall and talk about Ant and his injury. First, we do want to thank True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I mean, if you guys are running late on a holiday, a Christmas gift for someone, and you have the means, man, think about going to getting them something with True Vision and having LASIK surgery, because it is a complete life-changing experience. You go to truevision.com, set up a consultation, go in, get yourself to kind of just absorb all of the knowledge, all of the caring, all of the warmth at True Vision. And they will set you up and get you going in the right direction on your vision correction. I've had it now for a year and a half. It's been amazing. I still see great. And it's just made my life so much easier. So go to truevision.com, set up that consultation, go in and see Dr. Chug, see everyone involved at True Vision in Bloomington. You will not regret it. It's the best thing I've done for myself in a very, very long time.
Thanks also to Royal Credit Union.
There are many reasons to open a smart checking account at Royal Credit Union, including no monthly fees, no minimum balance, and a $250 bonus. Getting your $250 is easy. Open your account by December 9th. Receive 2 payroll direct deposits of $200 or more, and you'll get a $250 bonus. See details and open your account today at rcu.org/getchecking. No minimum balance required to obtain bonus. Offer ends 12/9/25. Insured by NCUA.
And finally, we want to, as always, hear about Shepherd Goods and Lamb Chops clothing line, who are also sponsoring Twitter question for later in the show.
sglambchops.com is the place to go. JONK20 for 20% off anything you can get there, and you can get a lot at Lamb Chops. Unbelievable casual wear, hoodies, sweatpants, sweaters, pants, shorts, t-shirts, hats, all of it at Lamb Chops. Super stylish, You can wear it out on the town on a Friday night. You can wear it lounging around your house, just kind of hanging out, wrapping presents, watching TV, and chilling out. It is so versatile, but super high quality. Jordan and Craig and everyone at Lamb Chops has built another local company that is really embedded in this community that we love supporting. And they just make really cool stuff that you're going to see. If you go to Target Center and you're wearing Lamb Chops, you're going to be, at the front edge of fashion. And so go to sglambchops.com. The promo code is JONK20 for 20% off. Anything that you get at Lamb Chops, start looking good and feeling good with Lamb Chops.
I know a lot of Timberwolves fans, and they seem constantly perplexed and anxious about this team. They don't like the slow starts. They don't like, the play way Chris Finch needs out playing time. They worry about the collapse and all this. I see team. Listen, I'd love it if they played better in the first half, right? We'd all love it if they played better in the first half and made things easier on themselves. But, as we talk here, they 17-9 with Anthony Edwards having missed a few games because of injury. It's not perfect. But it's not exactly sky is falling stuff. And at least in my view, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it isn't. Now, yes, I will say this. So far to this point, the record has not really matched the eye test for this team because, they've played a really soft schedule and they've been able to feast on cupcakes a little bit. To their credit, those are the types of games that gave them problems in the years past. And you get so frustrated when they lose to Washington or Charlotte or whatever. They're not doing that anymore. They're winning almost all of those games that they play. So that is good. Now, they have not been playing sharply all the way through. And I do wonder if part of that is that they need to be scared going into a game. Greg Popovich has always said appropriate fear of your opponent. I just don't think they had that a lot of nights with some of the teams that they were playing. And so they kind of took it for granted early, and then they're in a dogfight. And a lot of times they're pulling it out in the fourth quarter. But the schedule is about to pick up. You have Oklahoma City coming up. You have Denver coming up. You have some good teams on the horizon that are really going to test them. And even if they don't win, you want to see them play much better than they have. But ultimately, yes, they are 17-9. They are right in the thick of the playoff hunt in the Western Conference. And the encouraging part is they have got to 17-9 without playing their best basketball. I do think that they have a lot of improving to do. And so if you look at this and give this group the benefit of the doubt that I think they've earned in terms of it is a team that always gets better as the season goes along and uses the regular season to work out the kinks, to figure out rotations, to make a move here or there. And then by playoff time, they're ready to roll. It doesn't guarantee they're going to be great in the playoffs, but I do think that we have seen enough of this group together to say that they deserve the chance to work through these issues and not have every bad quarter mean you have to fire Finch and you have to trade Rudy and you have to do this and you have to do that. Like, the strength of the Wolves has been lately that they have been stable and that they have kind of been able to weather the storms. And these aren't even storms right now that they're weathering. They're just, they're just going through a little bit of rain here and there and coming out on the other side of it. So the good thing about all of this angst, Jim, is that it just does tell you that we're covering a team and they are rooting for a team that has stakes every single night. And that there is real belief that if this team does play up to its potential, that it can be a problem in the playoffs. And with those expectations and stakes does come scrutiny, and there does come nervousness, and there does come just a general expectation that this organization has not really had for the vast majority of its life. And so that part is very, very cool. So I hesitate to say, hey, calm down, Wolves fans, because they're just into it. They really want it, and it's fun. But calm down a little bit, Wolves fans.
Jim Peterson, he's such a good analyst. He was talking the other day about Shannon and the fact that one of the reasons Shannon hasn't been lighting it up lately is he just doesn't use his offhand very often or very well. So where is his game, and what's the hope for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has been apparent, certainly, as in his minutes this season, is that, yeah, he does not have, if he isn't getting his left hand going, like, it's just like there's not a whole lot else. He can get downhill and that's it. Um, and so that's certainly an area of his game that he needs to diversify, because when you only have the one hand to work with, it's so much easier to scout and guard you. And I think that he is running into that problem so far. The other problem that I think that he dealt with, like, I do think that the foot injury that he had early in the season really did help hold him back a little bit and made it hard for him to find any kind of a rhythm. And so he is trying to kind of get his legs underneath him in the middle of the season rather than at the start. And part of the things that are translating there is, like, defensively, he has not been good enough for what they need from him if he wanted to slide into those Nickeil Alexander-Walker minutes. No one expected him to be Nickeil in terms of a perimeter defender, but I don't think they expected him to be Wally Szczerbiak in terms of a perimeter defender either. And so they need just him to be able to up his physicality and his attention to detail on that end as well, so that he can be on the floor to get out in transition, to get to the rim, and to hit the occasional three-pointer that really does help this team when his offensive game is clicking. But it's a little one-dimensional right now, and that needs to improve for him to continue to earn 18, 20 minutes, somewhere in that area, even 15 minutes a night, for a team that is really trying to win a lot of games here.
Just this morning, the Twins announced that Tom Pohlad is going to be replacing Joe Pohlad as basically the controlling owner of the Twins, or whatever the phrase is. He's basically going to be the owner in charge of things on a day-to-day basis. Also announced that Craig Leopold is going to be a minority investor, and George Hicks is going to be a minority investor. Tell us about George Hicks.
Yeah, George is he's been involved with the Timberwolves now for a little while. He's with the Alex Rodriguez and Mark Laurie group as a limited partner there. And you will see him, he's courtside all of the time. He and his son Johnny sit, and are at every single game, if not every game. One of them is usually at every single game. And they're really into it. They are big time sports fans. I think George's statement with the Twins was that he's, kind of been a lifelong baseball and Twins fan. He went to Gustavus Adolphus College, so he's one of us, kind of thing. And I've been able to chat with him and Johnny a lot at games, and really good guys, like really very invested in trying to bring a winner to the Twin Cities, and first in the NBA, and now with the Twins as well. And so we'll see. It'll be interesting to just see, like, how that impacts the way that Twins ownership group operates, because, man, do they need new blood? Do they need some kind of injection of energy that way? And I think, I don't anticipate George is going to be like making decisions and doing those things, but he's involved, and he's financially involved, and I think that'll be a big help for what they're doing over there.
Interesting. Any change might be good with the Twins right now. Good Lord. Let's get to our Shepherd Goods and Lamb Chops Clothing Twitter question of the week.
Yeah, this one comes from Ben. He has a long Twitter handle, so I'll hit you in the DMs, Ben. Thanks for chiming in. He said, I've recently had the thought that Bones Hyland could be the guy at point guard. Obviously a lot to think about, but I love what he has shown us this season. Not necessarily meaning that he's the point guard for the next 10 years, but could see him being the bridge guy for a bit. Thoughts? And I mean, Ben, it's something that you can't rule out right now for a couple of reasons. One is, like, just the lack of options right now in terms of who else is available. I mean, with Conley injured, with Rob Dillingham still finding his way, this is, the opportunity is there for him right now. And I think if it does work out where Bones is a real viable bridge point guard and is able to be a part of this rotation for the rest of this season and doesn't kind of flame out, I do think that one of the things that really does appeal to Chris Finch, that certainly appeals to me as I watch him play, is he plays with a desperation and an urgency that this team has not necessarily had for much of the season so far. I mean, it looks like, we've talked about on the show, it looks like a team that has been largely bored with the regular season because they've been to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. They just want to get this part over with and get to the fun stuff in the playoffs. Bones has kind of been hanging on to the NBA by his fingernails. He was a two-way player last year. He's got a kind of a minimum partially guaranteed contract right now. He had really a lot of talks with teams in Europe over the summer, and it was possible that he was going to have to go over there and not even play in the NBA this year. And so, you see the way that he is playing. It's with a real hunger to prove himself and to show that he belongs. And there was a moment in the game against Sacramento on Sunday where he got the ball kind of on a long rebound and semi-transition, and the only person in front of him was Keegan Murray, and he went right through Murray's chest to the basket and scored. And it was like, okay, like this is the kind of intensity, the kind of toughness, the kind of like just overall desire that this team needs. They needed a jolt. And Bones Hyland is giving it to them. He knows that he needs to play well or else he's going to be out of the league. And so that hunger and that desperation, I think, is translating well so far. We'll see how he does against better opponents and as the season goes along. But right now, just the energy that he is playing with, I think is much, much needed for a team that has had too much of a malaise, especially at the starts of games. And so, yes, Ben, if he does become a at least intermediate term answer at point guard, that's going to be what does it for him, is just that overall intensity that he's playing with.
And he can shoot.
He can shoot. Yep. I mean, there's been a few times already where it's a no hesitation, pull the trigger, 3-pointer that you're like, you know what? Rob's passing up that right now, just with the way his confidence is and where things are at. And Bones is aggressive and confident in everything that he's doing out there. And that does really make him dangerous for the opponent. Whereas I think you see opposing defenses really sort of like laying off of Rob Dillingham and daring him to shoot. They're not going to do that with Bones, because Bones will make it, and he will take it and he will make it. And that's really important for the overall ecosystem of this offense, and making sure that he has some gravity to him to open up things for Julius, to open up things for Ant when he's back, DiVincenzo, all of these guys. That's really helpful when you have someone that you have to fear, in those moments when the ball's in his hands.
Yep. Great stuff, Jon. I really wish I was going to be at the show on Saturday. Sounds like it's going to be great. I just want to, this will be my last time talking to this audience for a couple of weeks. Just want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank all of our sponsors for supporting this show and the network. We've grown a lot. We only grow because of our sponsors and our listeners and our viewers. So thank you. Thank you so much. Jon, hit us one more time with the details and timings of the Headflyer show.
Yep. Saturday, December 20th, 4 p.m. at Headflyer Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis. Chris Finch will be starting right at 4. Bones Hyland will come after that. We'll have some giveaways. We'll bring in some food items to donate to Second Harvest Heartland, and you get a buy one, get one beer from Headflyer. Going to be a great show. It's 4 p.m. I would suggest getting there early to get yourself a good seat if you want to make sure you're kind of near the stage and everything. But we're going to have a great time. We'll do those interviews with Finch and Bones, and then I'll have some time for some Q&A with the fans afterward. And so really looking forward to it. Hope you all turn out and kind of ring in the holiday season at Headflyer Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis.
Thanks, everybody. We really do appreciate it. Have a great time at Headflyer, and we'll be back with you here in a couple of weeks.